Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Tulley, President and Executive Writing Coach at Defend and Publish. Welcome to episode 76, Why I Love Inkpad. Many of our podcast episodes are about tools that make writing a little bit easier, more fun, more accessible, more productive. And I've mentioned Inkpad as a free tool that I use all the time to get more writing completed, but I realized I'd never done an episode about Inkpad. So I thought I'd show you in the session why I love it so much. But for those of you that are listening on audio only, you don't need to see these slides. You'll be able to check it out and see what it does in a couple of seconds. But I just want to say some of the features about it that have helped me as a writer think through writing a little bit differently. One of the things I want to point out about it before I show some slides that I like about it specifically is that you have the ability to record audio notes that get transcribed to text, and those can get dropped into your writing. But I want to say more about why I like that, because lots of apps do that. Voice memos do that and all sorts of other things on our phone. But why I like this as a strategy for writing is that for some people, if you've been writing on a book, an article, your dissertation, every time you sit down at your desk, you know you have to sit there and do work. And for some people, that's just unpleasant day after day, particularly for those of you trying to finish a project. So I hear this from graduate students doing dissertations all the time, because they know if they wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, whatever time they wake up, that they have 8 hours of writing ahead of them. And they look at their desk and they look at their chair. And that's unappealing, especially if you've been at it day after day. You're physically tired, you're mentally tired. Some people sit down in the chair and they love doing it, and that's great. A lot of us do feel like that. One of the emphasis points in Defend and Publish is on that, rhythmic, satisfying academic writing process. But there are days even I don't want to sit at my desk and write. And the biggest thing that I love about Inkpad is that this is a way where I can get some writing done while out on a walk. I could go out for a walk for a whole hour, be outside, get sunshine, and talk to myself about a project and have very, very good notes to show for it. So with that kind of buildup, I'm going to show the slides that I have that show what Inkpad can do for people that are watching the YouTube video. And if you are somebody that's just listening to this, these will be in the show notes too if you want to see screenshots, but you can check this out yourself in just a few minutes. Inkpad, Inkpad, if you just look up Inkpad app, is free. It's on Android, it's on iPhone. You can put it on your PC, you can put it on your Mac, you can put it on any device you have. So this is another reason why I like it. I like to support free cross-platform tools for writing. So I'm not a sponsor for Inkpad. They probably don't know how much I love them. I don't know. But this is one that is easy to find. So Google Inkpad and you will find it. And the first screen I'm showing is just what it looks like on the homepage to their website. So it's called Inkpad or Notepad. And when you look at it, it looks like a yellow old school legal pad. And on it, it's on the screen that we're looking at right now, just showing a checklist of items. I don't use it for a checklist. I use it for actual writing. And so that's why I took my own screenshots. But I wanted you to see what it looks like. There is a premium version. I honestly don't know what features are available in that premium version because I've never had a need to use it for as much as I use Inkpad. So how I start using it is that I first go to once I click on the Inkpad app and open it on my phone, because that is primarily where I use it, there's a blue button to create a note. And above that blue button is all the notes I've made before that. So one of the reasons I like Inkpad over something like Voice Memo is that in Inkpad, I can make a note and it logs every time I was in and out of that note. So sometimes, let's say I have a note in here that's long. It's like 4 pages of, content for a chapter. But I remember last Tuesday, I said something brilliant. I could go and look at just last Tuesday's portion of that note. So I really, really like that. I like the timestamps. And I also there's not a heck of a lot of other clutter. So I've just been playing around with Inkpad a little bit in a new version. I got a new phone, so this actually doesn't show all my legit notes, which I need to move. But I have some other things on here so you can get a good sample. And so it's just listing 5 different things and the dates I wrote them. And all you do is click the blue button at the bottom to make a new note. Very easy. There's no other features. The only thing you can do is open a note. And then what I do is once a new note's open, I give it a title. I try to title my notes based on the project or whatever it is that I will know to find them. So a naming convention is a little important here. You don't want to have a bunch of notes just labeled writing. That's not going to do you any good. But let's say I wanted to think about or talk about the methodology for a book project. I might title my note that thing. So methodology for this RCM book. And then in the box underneath, yes, there's an ad. So this is why it's free. There's a little ad about Walgreens on the screen for those of you watching it. Tiny, it's not distracted. Right underneath that, you just write your notes. So you have the keyboard. If you're on the laptop, you can type. If you're on, an iPad, you can do it. Or you can use your phone and use your keyboard. But the best part, and my favorite part, there's a big orange starburst on this screen for those of you looking at the video. It's at the very bottom, but when you open up a note, there's your keyboard, and in the bottom right-hand corner, just like on every other phone device, is that microphone icon. So if you click on that, you can audio dictate your notes. And that's the feature I use far more than ever typing anything. This app I'm using primarily for audio, but you can do all these other things. And so what I did was I showed on the next screen how if I started talking about my projects. So what I did was in my note, I typed out, is time to use diary a feminist strategy? Because that's one of the things I'm playing with in a book revision right now. And then I started dictating. Now on this one, I purposely left it so you could see there's a couple of typos because you need to speak a little bit more slowly to make sure that it catches you. But after saying a sentence or two, it's very, very good at catching what sentences and words are, and it will just take your notes. So I just talk to myself. So let's think practically how this would look. If I'm going to have a writing session one day where I don't want to sit down and write, if I have a good idea about what I'm wanting to talk about or think through, I'll go for a walk. I'll take my phone with me and I'll click the microphone button and start talking. One cautionary tale, I have done this where I've just thought I left the microphone on the whole time for my hour, and it only captured about maybe 30% of what I said. The microphone will click off after a while. You can re-click it back on, but it won't stay on. So if you're going to do this the way that I do, I usually say, maybe 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes of content, and then make sure my microphone's still on. You can always, just double check it a few times. It doesn't go off right away, but it won't record a full hour without you hitting it to engage it. Once you do that though, you can see the note actually showing up, filling up on the yellow notepad on screen, which is the other reason why I like it, because it really mimics how I feel like if I was brainstorming with my pen and a pencil, how this would look, right? Except it shows it in type. And then the other thing is at the bottom, there is the little share button, the little square with the arrow that's like you want to share this note with somebody, and it gives you a whole bunch of options for sharing it. So here's the other beauty of it. It's all well and good that I'm taking these notes in Notepad, but I need an easy way to get that content out of there and to dump it into the draft I'm working on. And so what I do is I use the share button that's here, and one of your choices is to share to email. That's the one I use all the time. So I basically share the note to email when I'm finished with one of these audio writing sessions. And then my next screen shows what it looked like when I got the note. So it pretty much has all the content I just said in text, in words, that I can easily copy and paste out and drop it in Microsoft Word or a Google Doc. So one of the things that I do to make sure that I don't forget about my audio notes is that I try to be a little bit regular about loading these notes into the draft that I'm working on. Ideally, if I was going to take say an hour walk or a half-hour walk and talk to myself, I would send the note right away, drop it in my document where I think I wanted it to go. So there's been a lot of good connections about thinking, and moving and trying to make writing happen. So I like this idea because it kind of pairs that generative energy you have when you're thinking about a project with the practicality of actually capturing it somewhere in a document. So this is, again, one of the reasons why I love Inkpad. I produce a lot of content this way, and I would recommend it for anybody that's just feeling really blocked and not wanting to sit down at their desk. If you're physically able, audio and walking is great. If you're not physically able, even audio is great. Have a seat and talk to yourself. Another way that you can use this, I haven't tried it myself, but I thought another way this might work is if you have a friend or a colleague or a collaborator where you record the conversation between the two of you, and it's actually recorded in a nice typewritten way that you can pull out those generative elements of your conversation and drop them in your draft if you're working on an article together, or if you do better talking about your project to your advisor or to anyone else, you can pull out the things you say and put them in the Word doc. Obviously get their permission first. You don't want to be recording anybody without, their permission. But just the fact that it's audio capture of writing makes it pretty clean and easy to use. And while it's true, you do need to clean up what was said, I find that after using Inkpad a couple of times, it gets very used to the way that you speak, and those errors are less and less. For words that are tough, that it's not going to know what it is, you'll just know you have to change it. I had a word, I don't remember the word, that it kept changing it to the word dragon instead of whatever that word was I was trying to say. So I also just knew, in my note, I actually made a note, change dragon to whatever it was. It was an acronym for something. So hopefully this helps as a strategy for writing. And finally, I know that a lot of us are starting to catch on and listen to these podcasts. This is great. We're now past episode 75. So this is episode 76. But if you have a chance, if you want to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we like to know who's listening. It's always great. So let us know. I don't care whether you leave a review or not. It's nice if you do, but we just like to know if we have some subscribers and people are getting the content. So let us know. Thank you. Happy writing, everyone.